Hi there, my name is Stephanie Olano, and I am the founder and CEO of Awkward Money. And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about navigating and dealing with the challenges of inflation. So know this, I did not go to school for economics, finances. I am not an official financial advisor. I am a mental health therapist that is certified in financial therapy. I also have a coaching certification from Trauma of Money, and I am strictly here just to discuss the anxieties and the traumatic impact that finances can have in our lives. So if you're looking for more financial advising or more financial literacy type of things, there are other channels for that. This one is just really meant to help understand why people are really awkward with money and maybe even eventually help cope and get some answers about why that is. So the thing with inflation that always is interesting to me, there's always this sense of if we're just strategic, just plan, if we just budget, there is a way to get ahead in a way that maybe it doesn't even get in our way, and maybe it can even start generational wealth for a lot of folks. I'm here to say you can be well-intentioned, well-educated, and do all the things right, but inflation is just one of those things that we just have to be aware and honest what we're dealing with. And in this case, inflation that we've all been living with ever since the pandemic, I don't know what the outcome is going to be because we don't have that much to compare it to. Inflation is a steady increase of price of goods and services in an economy over time, resulting in a decrease in the purchasing power of money. It's an economic phenomenon that affects the cost of living and can impact budgeting and financial planning. High inflation means that prices aren't increasing quickly, while low inflation means that prices are growing more steadily. So the main example I like to give is the inflation that we're seeing in the housing market. So let's just imagine for a minute that we're one of the lucky few who can actually buy a home. And there are only a few houses on the market for sale. But suddenly, a lot more people want to buy the same homes that you're looking at. Maybe it's just a really good neighborhood, maybe there's no HOA fees, I don't know, all of these people just want to buy the same house that you do at the same time. Since there aren't enough houses for everyone, unfortunately, I wish we lived in a nation that guaranteed housing. It is what it is. Everyone who owns the houses realizes, oh, I can ask for more money on this house, only because there's so much more demand. And people just want to keep buying this same type of house, the same house that you're looking at. Now, to get a house, people have to pay way more than ever before. I'm seeing this a lot more and more in the place that I live and grew up in, which is the Bay Area. A home that was probably considered a starter home could have been priced at $500,000, $700,000, right? Nowadays, those homes are more being purchased up by people who want to retire or those who are working in the tech industry. And now those starter homes are now $1 million homes. So a lot of us working class folk or those who don't have this high paying job, we don't get a house. I'm renting still. So that's just the truth of it all. So unfortunately, it's mainly because when there are more people to buy a house and there are fewer homes for sale, the prices just go up. And when people are willing to pay more for the house, they get what they want. What are they supposed to do? They want a house in a particular neighborhood, they're gonna get it because they can pay more. Also, if building new houses takes longer or costs more, then there are even fewer houses that will be available for other folks to purchase. So that raises the price even more. A city like San Francisco, they have so many hoops and boundaries and rules that they have to adhere to make sure no one is getting priced out, make sure no one is hindering or changing the landscape too much. Building new homes or finding affordable housing just isn't that simple. And then we have this concept that we're also living in a man-made inflation. So man-made inflation is something I'm very new to, but basically this is what happens when the prices increased because of human action, because of decisions by companies or a lot of powerful people in charge rather than natural economic phenomenon. What also is happening in the Bay Area, there's like this artificial scarcity in housing development. So local governments or properties or property developers might intentionally limit the supply of new housing through restrictive zoning laws or by holding on to undeveloped land. Can we do something with them? Can we figure out a way to open it up back to the community? And unfortunately, there are just more powers or more companies at play here that just want to hold on to that land for whatever reason, because maybe they don't want to build homes. Maybe they want to build more commercial property. Either way, these developers or companies find it is to build a home or to build apartments in general are just a headache that they don't want to deal with, so they just let it go. They just hold on to the empty lot and kind of just wait it out until the market is more stable, or maybe they just need to find more funding because, again, they have their own agenda, and unfortunately, it is not to help working class families to find that affordable home. The other side of it is there's been some manipulation in the interest rate. So central banks or financial institutions might keep interest rates artificially low, making mortgages more affordable and increasing demand for housing. While this can stimulate the economy in some ways, it can also lead to inflated housing prices. And it's just not sustainable long term. So it's situations like this that significantly impacts the housing market and the affordability of it all. So inflation in the real estate market often just outpaces economic inflation rates. So this is why, when I'm working with my client, I try my best to remind them, we have to be a little bit more compassionate, along with we have to be strategic. There are just things at play that we can't predict or can't outbudget or can't outsmart, but that doesn't mean that there's no hope. And this is what is key in protecting your finances, because with things like man-made inflation, it makes it difficult for us whose parents came to this country, who had this notion of the American dream that if we just hold on long enough, if we just save our way through this, we can own property, we can buy a house, we can find a way to get out of this rat race of renting and moving and being so beholden to landlords, and maybe even jumpstart this journey of generational wealth, because for many Americans, that started with owning a house. That started with owning a plot of land. However, when we're trying to make sense of our finances, we get really sad or upset or even dysregulated, because it can feel like a hopeless venture. It can feel like this futile task that has no end, especially when we've been priced out of the housing market or any other type of thing that can help us gain that generational wealth. Or what's happening most recently is a lot of us are struggling or experiencing major financial setbacks. We had our emergency fund, we had our savings, we were anticipating paying that tax bill, but something major happened in our lives and now there's a crisis. And thank goodness we all planned ahead, but now we're just trying to get out of that hole again. This is why for a lot of my clients, I talk a lot about trauma-informed budgeting. This can be helpful for folks who, again, they're struggling with the idea, I planned ahead and it still went to hell. It probably is hopeless, or probably is just you're having a hard time finding your footing again, or need help navigating what steps you need to take again. Either way, trauma-informed budgeting recognizes that past traumatic experiences such as a pandemic, maybe a layoff from a tech company, maybe there was a death in the family, maybe you were in the first lockdown and missed your graduation. Either way, these experiences can significantly impact a person's relationship with money. For individuals struggling with things like ADHD, anxiety, depression, budgeting can particularly be challenging due to the difficulties with organization, impulse control, maintaining focus. All these things are going to be impacted by these symptoms I just listed. So here are just a few steps on how to start handling your finances while also navigating the inflation. We got to figure out your wants and needs. Focus on necessities. I'm not talking about, okay, but I need to balance out self-care. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for a vacation. That stuff can wait for just a little bit longer. I guarantee you most likely deserve a self-care day, but these are folks who are just needing CPR on their finances. They need to pay essential bills like rent, food, utilities, medicine. Those things need to be covered first. I did not say groceries. I did not say meal prep. I said food. So if your necessity is I need to go to McDonald's because I haven't eaten, or I need to get that pre-made sandwich at the deli, so be it. I'd rather you be fed, because fed is best. And I don't care what it is for the time being. If it makes sense for you and your finances to just DoorDash, so be it. Accept it. Own it. No one here is stopping you from it. But if it's within your capacity to go to the grocery store, make your list, make sure you double check those prices, make sure you make your meals in beginning of the week, more power to you. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing something right if you need to make a few shortcuts. And I want you to make sure your medical expenses are paid for. If we're having to sacrifice things like your insurance payment or your copay or leaving your medicine at the pharmacy a little bit longer until next payday, I really need you to talk to your doctor about that. I don't care if you have unpaid bills or if you're a little embarrassed that you weren't able to talk to the billing department. I need you to talk to your doctor and anyone else that's on your medical team or mental health team, because the most important thing is that you and your well-being are taken care of. You need to make sure your medical needs are being met. And if you're just not in that position just yet, we got to figure something out and get creative, because you are worthy. The next thing, and this hits me close to home, I have a love-hate relationship with subscriptions. I am a music nerd. I have always loved movies and TV shows, and that has been a form of medicine for me. Whenever I'm having a hard day, I can turn on my headphones and just escape for a little bit. But if we're in a position where we're maybe paying a little too much for subscriptions and you have so many people in your life telling you that if you just cut out that Netflix bill or if you just listen to Spotify for free, you'll be better off, then just reevaluate your subscriptions. Like I said, I'm a music nerd. I need my music because it's not just music to me. It is a way for me to stay on track and also help regulate my nervous system. There have been times that I'm having a panic attack, and Spotify seems to be the thing to help me get out of that or help me stay grounded long enough for me to make my next decision. So if reevaluating or adjusting a streaming site is a little difficult, just know you're not the only one. There's probably more at stake here than just you won't get to watch the latest Bob's Burgers episode. The next thing, I need you to do weekly check-ins, because you can stay on top of any transactions or expenses just a little bit sooner, and you can monitor if there are prices changing on you. So again, you could be budgeting correctly, but we're not able to see the inflation in a month's time. So when you're going to the supermarket and you're noticing, you know what? I'm buying the same things that I was last month, 2 weeks ago, and my bill is getting higher. What's going on? It might be that essential foods like milk, eggs, bread, all these things that are food staples in a lot of households in America, they're going up in price. While you're monitoring or checking in with your finances every week, you can just catch on and maybe need to adjust your budget a little bit more. Because again, you could be making all the right decisions, but the budget might be just 2 months old, so we need to adjust for inflation in that time period. Along with checking in with your finances, we got to start adding more to your savings. Because like I said, with inflation, the prices could be changing. And the last thing I want to suggest, use your superpowers. Focus on what you can control. While inflation can be stressful, concentrate on aspects of your finances that you have control and make proactive changes. So can I start saving a little bit more? Do I need to start looking into side hustles? Do I need to start learning how to DIY little things? Do I need to call credit card companies? Can I use AI to help me come up with a debt repayment plan? Our community, we are really good at dealing with crises and we get creative. So lean into that. We may not recognize it, but our people have survived things like colonization, warfare. All of us most recently just went through a pandemic. All of that we overcame. And we're still here trying to figure out how to level up or how to build that generational wealth. That shows we are resilient. My last tip is community support. I don't know why or how something like capitalism sold us this idea. And yes, I say sold for a reason, because in capitalism, it makes us believe the only way to get to a better level, the only way to earn our money is to do it alone. It's bullshit. When we engage in the community for support, whether it's financial literacy groups or community programs that offer resources, we are stronger in numbers. And hopefully we can find folks who can offer that guidance and can teach us and help us navigate through these very tumultuous financial times. We don't need to do this alone. This way of being that says that I did it on my own, but none of us really do anything alone. Our parents came here and gave us opportunities. If that wasn't you and you did have to do things on your own, I am not here to negate your experience, but just know that there's a different way. We can get out of this pit together. Because again, capitalism, they want to keep us separate. They want to keep us isolated and alone because that's what makes us buy more. That's what makes us turn to things like retail therapy, go to Starbucks and get my coffee because I just feel grounded. But those things are temporary because they want you to buy more. When we do things in community, we do things when we're connected, and you deserve better. So for the last bit of this video, I want to remind folks, you are not alone. I am here for you. Your whole community is here for you, whether it's literal or spiritual, ancestors, whatever you want to call it, there is a community out here for you. And if Awkward Money can be a part of that, let me know. I am more than happy to continue this conversation, whether it's in the comments, through DMs, whatever it may be, however you want to reach out, just know I'm here listening. And what's different between my services and a lot of other folks is I'm actually here to help you embrace your awkwardness with money and see what we can do together. Because again, through connection is healing. And that's what I want for all the folks out here.